The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council hovered silently in the blue-white light of Vega. It was a place of order, built from smooth crystal and dark alloy, where 27 alien civilizations met to maintain peace across the stars. For centuries, the Council had prevented war through careful diplomacy. Every race, no matter how different, had a voice. Now, for the first time in decades, chaos filled the room. Earth has gone silent, boomed Chancellor Vurex, his long, scaled arms stretched out. His voice echoed against the high walls. They have withdrawn their ambassadors. Their planetary beacon is offline. Their transmissions cut. No explanation, no warning. Whispers turned into arguments. The insectoid Qatari clicked nervously, while the vaporous Veln floated in cold silence. The amphibious leaders from the Nyran swam in their private fluid chambers, flicking fins in agitation. "They are unpredictable," hissed Vurex. "I warned this council for years. Humanity is dangerous, clever, fast-moving, but volatile. Now they close their doors. What comes next? A weapon? An invasion?" A smaller voice spoke from the left ring of the chamber. "Earth has always been difficult, yes," said Envoy Halra of the Maya. "But they signed the Galactic Unity Accord. Should we not attempt contact before assuming aggression?" "We did," Vurex snapped. "No answer. Not even a signal ping. They've shut us out completely." The council began to fracture. Some demanded investigation. Others pushed for an immediate show of force. No one knew Earth's true intentions, and that terrified them all. On the far edge of the Council's strategic zone, orbiting near Jupiter's shadow, a small Terran Federation patrol ship floated silently. Inside, Commander Alara Miles stared at a blinking alert on her console. Her fingers tightened on the edge of her chair. The message was short: classified priority. Return to Earth immediately. Full briefing upon arrival. She read it twice. Alara was 34, with sharp eyes and a calm presence. Years of service had taught her to keep her thoughts hidden. She wore the sleek black and silver uniform of the Terran Federation Diplomatic Security Corps. Her job was to keep peace between Earth and alien powers. Or at least that had been her job. Until now. "What the hell is going on down there?" she whispered. Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Rowe, a cybernetic specialist, looked up from his station. "Council channels are reporting Earth's total withdrawal. No confirmation from command. No transmissions. Even our own deep space relays are dark." Alara stood up. "Plot a course for Earth. I'll take the shuttle. Alone." "Alone?" Rowe raised an eyebrow. "That's against re-entry protocol." She shook her head. "Command didn't say bring a team. They said come home. I have a feeling this isn't just about orders. It's about loyalty." He hesitated, then gave a small nod. "Stay safe, Commander." The shuttle launched hours later, slipping through the edge of Mars's orbit, diving toward Earth at near light speed. As it pierced the upper atmosphere, Alara saw the familiar green and blue swirl of her home planet, but it didn't feel welcoming. No welcome beacons, no orbital greetings, not even a clearance message. The Federation's planetary defense grid scanned her ship without responding. She was allowed to land, but no one greeted her. Not a soul. Her shuttle touched down on the sleek tarmac of Terran Command Base Alpha, just outside New Geneva. The city gleamed in the distance, tall towers bathed in soft light. But the base itself was quiet. Not abandoned, just watchful. She stepped onto the platform, feeling like a stranger. Two security officers approached in silence. No salutes, no introductions. "Commander Miles," one said flatly, "you're to report to High Command immediately." "What's going on?" she asked. "You'll be briefed inside." The halls of the command building were colder than she remembered. Doors that once opened automatically now required scanning. Faces looked at her with suspicion, not recognition. Alara noticed it all. In the briefing chamber, she finally met an old face, Admiral Corrin, her mentor and former commanding officer. His once kind eyes were now clouded with something else. "Alara," he said, standing stiffly, "glad you came. We have much to discuss." "Why did we cut off contact with the Council?" she asked. "Directly. They're panicking. Some are ready to send warships." He didn't blink. "Because it's time. They've used us long enough. We gave them culture, innovation, ideas, And they gave us rules and threats. We're done playing nice. She stared at him, stunned. We signed peace agreements, we built alliances, and we can break them, he said. There are things you need to see, things the council must never know. His words echoed in her mind. Something was very wrong. Ilara nodded slowly. Then show me. Ilara followed Admiral Corran through the silent corridors of Terran Command Base Alpha. Once these halls had been full of energy, officers walking with purpose, screens flashing updates from across the galaxy, the hum of communication between Earth and her allies. Now everything was muted. Even the lights seemed dimmer. Guards stood at every intersection. Their faces were calm, but their eyes followed her with quiet suspicion. Ilara noticed that none of the display panels showed anything beyond Earth's atmosphere. There were no galaxy charts, no council updates, no mention of interstellar events. Earth had truly closed itself off. You've changed the entire system, she said, keeping her voice level. We had to, Admiral Corran replied. The council was never going to let us grow. Not truly. Every step forward, they questioned us. Every innovation, they slowed down. Now we decide our own path. They stopped outside a reinforced door. A retinal scanner confirmed Corran's identity, and the heavy steel panels slid open. Inside was a high-security operations room. A large central display showed a vast underground facility with multiple layers, guarded by drones and locked behind energy shields. Ilara looked closer. Rows of scientists moved through sterile corridors. At the center of it all was something covered by a thick metal dome, glowing faintly at its base. "What is this place?" she asked. Corran folded his arms behind his back. "That, Commander, is the location of Project Dawn." The name meant nothing to her. "I need more than that." Corran studied her for a moment, then nodded to one of the officers in the room. The man brought up a secondary screen. Schematics, energy readings, power levels. Project Dawn is an energy-based defense system, Corran explained. We discovered how to manipulate gravitational resonance through particle collapse fields. In simple terms, it can shut down any ship, any station, any fleet within a wide radius. It doesn't destroy, it disables. Total silence, complete control. Ilara frowned. "You've built a galaxy-scale shutdown weapon." Corran didn't deny it. "We needed leverage, something that makes the Council think twice before trying to chain us down. Earth has always been treated as the upstart, the outsider. Even when we followed their rules, they treated us like a threat. And now we are one," she said quietly. He met her eyes. "Only if they push us." Ilara turned away, trying to make sense of what she was hearing. "And cutting all communication, that was your opening move. They forced our hand. We intercepted several private council messages last month. Vurex and his circle were discussing containment protocols on us. They feared how fast we were developing. They saw our independence as a risk." She thought of the council chamber, of the fear in their voices, and now they're terrified. This isn't peace. This is a standoff. Corran leaned forward. "Ilara, I brought you back because I trust you. You've served Earth well. You know how the Council thinks. I want you to understand that this is not war, it's protection. The weapon will never be used unless we're forced, but we must be ready." Ilara didn't answer right away. Her heart pounded with unease. She had always believed in Earth's strength, but not in isolation, not in threats. She had walked among alien worlds, made friendships with beings who thought and spoke in ways humanity was only beginning to understand. And now her home had sealed the doors shut. "Where does it end?" she finally asked. "What happens when the Council sends ships to investigate? Or worse, to strike first?" Corran's voice was calm. "Then we show them we are not to be underestimated." She stared at the central display again, watching the glow beneath the dome. Power hummed quietly through the facility. She imagined the weapon pulsing out, shutting down entire fleets in the silence of space. No explosions, just darkness. "I want to see it," she said at last. Corran hesitated. "That wasn't the plan. I need to see what we've built," she repeated. "You called me here to understand, so let me understand." He gave her a long look, then nodded. "Very well. You'll be escorted to the Project Dawn facility tomorrow. It's deep beneath the Andes Mountains, one of the most secure sites on Earth. Ilara stepped back into the hallway. The cold air bit at her skin. Outside the windows, night was falling over the city. New Geneva's lights flickered like stars, but they felt distant, like she was seeing them from another world. She returned to her quarters. They were clean, sparse, unfamiliar. A digital panel on the wall offered her no contact access. She couldn't call her old colleagues. Her access had been locked. She sat on the edge of the bed and let the silence fill the room. The council feared what Earth might become. Now she wasn't sure they were wrong. Ilara stood at the edge of the platform, watching the massive elevator descend into the dark rock of the Andes. The air was cold and thin at this altitude, but the coldest part was the silence. No birds, no wind, only the low hum of the machinery that carried her, and 2 armed escorts deep underground. The trip down lasted 10 full minutes. They passed through layers of security, steel gates, motion scanners, biometric locks, all of it hidden beneath what appeared to be a remote mountain range. No one from the outside would ever suspect what was buried here. When the doors finally opened, Ilara stepped into the most advanced facility she had ever seen. The core chamber of Project Dawn stretched several kilometers. It was shaped like a circle, with multiple levels of labs, control rooms, and shielded containment fields built into the walls. At the center, rising out of the ground like the spine of a beast, was a massive column of glowing alloy. It pulsed with slow, steady light, like a heartbeat. Her escort, Lieutenant Sever, spoke for the first time since their departure. This is the core. The device draws power from an artificial fusion lattice developed by our own engineers. The energy it releases is stable, controlled, and precise, unless we choose otherwise. Ilara stared up at the core, her eyes narrowing. You're saying this shuts down systems across a wide area? Sever nodded. A focused energy field capable of disabling any ship, station, or city without causing physical damage. One pulse, and their systems go dark. No weapons, no comms, no life support. We control the sky. They walked along a narrow path suspended above the core chamber. Scientists worked silently behind thick glass, reviewing readings, adjusting parameters. Everyone here moved with purpose, but without joy. It felt more like a bunker than a laboratory. What happens to people on those ships? Ilara asked. Sever didn't flinch. If their backups are good, they survive. If not, that's not our concern. That response chilled Ilara. She was taken to a private observation deck where Admiral Corin waited. Below them, the core glowed brighter with each pulse. This is what you brought me to see, she said. Why now? Because you needed to understand the truth, he replied. The Council was always a temporary ally. They needed us when we offered fresh thinking, new ideas. But once we became their equal, they began preparing to cut us down. Ilara crossed her arms. This changes the balance of power for the entire galaxy. Yes, Corin said. That's the point. They forced us into a position where strength is the only language they respect. You've seen how they treat other rising worlds. Isolation, sanctions. In some cases, total interference. Ilara remembered. The Council had been slow to accept humanity, but they had accepted them. Was that not progress? Now it seemed Earth had chosen a different path, power without permission. She looked down at the weapon again. You really think they'll back down once they know this exists? They won't have a choice, Corin said. We're not planning to use it unless we must. It's a shield, not a sword. But if the Council sends ships, if they try to contain us, then we will act. Ilara turned back to him. And if they don't strike, if they ask for talks, they won't, he said quietly, because they're afraid, and fear makes people dangerous. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Corin handed her a small data drive. This holds a copy of the Council's intercepted transmissions, he said. You'll see for yourself. They don't trust us. They were preparing to strike before we ever shut the doors. Ilara took the drive without a word. That night, in her quarters deep within the facility, she reviewed the files, audio logs, coded messages, meeting transcripts. Council members discussing Earth's rapid advancement, their growing independence. Some called for caution. Others, like Virex, called for intervention, before it's too late. Ilara read the words again and again. The Council feared Earth. That much was clear. But did that justify building a weapon that could silence entire fleets? Did it justify cutting off all communication? She stared at her communicator, unsure what to do next. The next morning she stood alone in the viewing gallery. Below, Project Dawn pulsed again, brighter than before. Test systems were now active. The first pulse could be ready within days. She looked up toward the domed ceiling above the core. Beyond it lay the sky, and beyond that the Council still waiting, still uncertain. She took a deep breath, and sent a message, not to Earth, not to Corin, but to the Council, encrypted, masked, direct. They have built a weapon, a powerful one. They believe you are preparing to strike. You must not. I will try to stop them, but if you act first, they will respond, and no one will win. She stared at the screen, then hit send. The message vanished into deep space. Ilara sat back in her chair, unsure of what came next, but knowing the clock had started ticking. The Council did not respond to Ilara's message, not with words. Instead, the skies above Earth changed. High above the atmosphere, just beyond the range of Earth's deep space sensors, the first of the Council's ships arrived. Sleek and silent, they came in formations, battle cruisers from the Qatari Hive, energy vessels from the Vel, and the sharp-edged command dreadnought from Zynath, the homeworld of Chancellor Vurex. They didn't send a signal. They didn't fire a weapon. They only hovered, waiting, watching. But Earth noticed. By the time Ilara left the Project Dawn facility and returned to Base Alpha, the alert had already sounded. Defense systems across the planet powered up. Orbital weapons platforms armed their warheads. Satellites rotated to track every ship in Earth's sky. The war that hadn't started yet was already on the edge of ignition. Ilara stepped off the transport shuttle and was met by armed guards, not greeting her, detaining her. Commander Ilara Miles, the lead guard said, voice sharp, "You are under investigation for unauthorized off-world communication. Come with us." Her hands were bound before she could speak. They pulled her through the halls like a criminal. Officers who once saluted her now looked away. She was taken into a secure holding cell beneath the command tower, alone with grey walls and silence. She sat down and waited. Hours passed. Finally, the door slid open. Admiral Corin stepped inside. He was no longer calm. His voice was tight with anger. "You warned them," he said. Ilara met his eyes. "I gave them the truth, and now they're here." He tossed a tablet onto the table. On the screen, a real-time feed of the Council's fleet. Dozens of ships surrounding Earth like a steel ring. "They didn't fire," she said. "They didn't have to. Their presence is the threat." Ilara leaned forward. "They're scared, just like we are, but they haven't attacked. We still have a chance to stop this." Corin didn't answer right away. He turned away, hands clasped behind his back. "They've already crossed the line," he said quietly, "entering our orbit without permission. That's a violation of planetary sovereignty." "That's fear," Ilara replied. "They're responding to our silence, to the weapon. We can still stand down. We can still talk." He looked at her for a long moment. Then, to her surprise, he sighed. "I'm not blind, Ilara. I know this could go either way, but I won't let Earth be bullied. You were right about one thing. This situation can't be solved by silence." He pressed a button on his comlink. "Bring her up." Within minutes, Ilara was released. No apology, no explanation. But the chains were gone. Back in the command chamber, the tension was thick. Officers moved quickly, relaying data, issuing orders. On the main screen, Earth's defense grid was fully active. Any wrong move could start a war. And then Vurex spoke. His voice, cold and mechanical, echoed across all channels. "Earth, you have built a weapon that threatens all life in this galaxy. We come not as attackers, but as protectors. We demand that Project Dawn be dismantled immediately. If you refuse, we will act." Silence followed. Admiral Corin looked at Ilara. "They've made their move. What's ours?" Elara stepped forward. "Let me speak to them. You think they'll listen?" "They already did," she said. "They didn't fire." With Corin's reluctant nod, Elara stood before the broadcast array. She activated the live link. Her image was sent to the Council fleet, every captain, every ship. She spoke simply. "I'm Commander Elara Miles. I speak for no side, but I speak for reason. Yes, Earth built a weapon. Yes, the Council surrounded our planet. But ask yourselves why. Because both sides are afraid. You fear what we're becoming. We fear being controlled or destroyed. But fear is not the same as war. You came to orbit, but you didn't fire. We built a weapon, but we didn't use it. That means there's still time. If either side strikes first, the galaxy will follow. Entire worlds will take sides, and what began as fear will become fire. Don't let it come to that. Stand down. Let's speak, not shoot." The room was silent. No response. Then the Council fleet pulled back, slightly, still in orbit, still watching, but no closer. In that small shift, Elara saw hope, but then the ground beneath her shook. Sirens screamed. A voice echoed through the command center. "Power spike detected in Project Dawn core. Unauthorized activation sequence initiated." Elara turned sharply to Corin. "You said it wouldn't be used unless we were attacked." "I didn't give that order," he said, already moving toward the console. "Someone else has. Deep below the Earth, someone had triggered the weapon, and unless Elara stopped it, everything she had worked for was about to vanish in a single silent pulse." Red lights flashed in every corridor of Base Alpha. The sirens wailed like an alarm bell for the end of the world. Soldiers ran to stations. Technicians shouted over each other. Warning messages scrolled endlessly across command screens. In the center of the control room, Elara stood frozen for a moment. Then she moved. "Corin," she shouted. "Where is the activation command coming from?" The Admiral was already at the console, eyes locked on the display. His fingers moved quickly over the surface, searching, tracing the origin. "It's not from this base," he said, voice hard. The command came from inside the Dawn facility. A manual override. Elara's stomach dropped. "Who has that kind of clearance?" "Only 3 people. Me, our lead engineer. He's here." And he paused, turning to her. "Director Merrin." Elara felt a chill run through her. Director Elric Merrin was the civilian head of Project Dawn, a brilliant strategist, a quiet man, but a hardliner. He believed that power was the only true defense. She remembered how he had avoided her at the facility, kept his distance. Now she understood why. "He thinks this is his moment," she said quietly. "He's going to fire the weapon before anyone can stop him." A voice cracked through the comm system, sharp and emotionless. "This is Director Merrin, Project Dawn. The Council fleet has violated Earth's sovereign space. They came armed. They came ready to strike. We will not wait for the first shot. We will end this now." A countdown appeared on the screen. 3:57, 3:56, 3:55, 4 minutes until the pulse. Corin turned to Elara. "We can't stop it from here. The only manual cancel point is in the core chamber itself." "Then I'm going," she said, without hesitation. "It's a sealed zone, armed guards. And if Merrin sees you, then I'll deal with him." Elara grabbed a compack and a sidearm. She moved fast, boarding the nearest transport shuttle. The craft shot across the sky, piercing the upper atmosphere before diving into the Andes Mountains again. As the shuttle descended, her comm buzzed. "Council transmission incoming," said the pilot. Elara tapped the speaker. Vurex's voice came through, calm but stern. "Commander Miles, we have detected energy buildup from the surface. We assume it is your weapon. We will not wait to be disabled. If the countdown reaches 0, we will strike." Elara answered, breath steady. "I'm trying to stop it. Don't act, please." There was a pause. "You have 3 minutes." The shuttle doors opened. Elara ran. Inside the facility, the halls were nearly empty. Non-essential personnel had evacuated. The lights dimmed to deep red. A low vibration filled the air as the weapon's power core reached full charge. 2 guards stood in front of the elevator to the chamber. "Stand down," she ordered, raising her clearance badge. One hesitated. The other reached for his weapon. She didn't wait. A quick stun blast hit his chest. He collapsed. The second guard stepped aside. The elevator doors opened. She descended fast, her heart pounding with every floor. 207, 206. When she reached the core, the control room was lit in white-blue light. Energy surged from the chamber walls. The floor shook under her feet. And there, standing at the main control panel, was Director Merrin. He turned slowly as she approached. "You shouldn't be here," he said. Voice even. "You're going to start a war," Alara said. "You think this is defense, but it's a first strike. They brought war to our skies. I'm finishing it before they can hurt us. They haven't fired a single shot." He didn't move from the console. "This is the only way they'll respect us. We show them we cannot be threatened." "No," she said. "You're showing them we are the threat." 112, 111. Alara stepped forward, slowly. "If you activate that pulse, their fleet dies. So do hundreds of thousands of lives. Not just soldiers, engineers, medics, scientists. You'll silence every ship out there. No life support, no navigation. It's not clean. It's death." Merrin looked away for a moment, but his hand stayed near the trigger. "They were going to contain us," he muttered. "No," Alara said. "They were afraid, but fear is not war. Not yet. We still have time." She stepped closer. His hand twitched. "I sent a message to the council," she said. "I told them the truth, and they didn't fire. They're waiting, just like we are. That means there's still a chance." Merrin's hand dropped slightly. 042, 041. "I know you want to protect Earth," she said. "So do I. But this isn't protection. It's suicide." He didn't speak. His eyes stared at the countdown. 029, 028. Finally he stepped back. Alara lunged for the console. Her fingers flew over the override. 021, 020, 019. She reached the shutdown command, entered her authorization. 010, system paused. 009, 008. Second command, Corin's backup key. 006, 005. Core pulse redirected. Power surge collapsed inward. 003, 002. Shutdown successful. The lights dimmed. The pulse vanished. Silence. Alara sank to her knees, breathing hard. Outside, in orbit, the council ships held position. Then, one by one, they began to power down weapons. Engines flared, turning their ships. The fleet began to pull back. Not far, but away from Earth. They weren't leaving, but they weren't attacking either. A signal came through. "This is Chancellor Verrex. The pulse was stopped. Earth is willing to speak. So are we." Alara closed her eyes. Relief washed over her like a wave. Below her, the core chamber went dark. She had stopped the weapon, but peace was still fragile. 3 days passed since the standoff. The Council fleet remained in orbit, but their weapons stayed powered down. Earth's defense systems returned to standby mode. Project Dawn was fully shut down and placed under neutral inspection, agreed upon by both sides. No shots had been fired, no systems disabled, but the galaxy had changed. Commander Ilara Miles stood at the center of a large chamber in New Geneva, this time not surrounded by military officers or secret scientists, but by diplomats, observers, and representatives from the Galactic Council. A temporary treaty had been signed. Earth would rejoin diplomatic communication. The Council, in return, would end all containment talks and lift secret surveillance operations. Both sides admitted, in quiet language, that fear had nearly cost them everything. The speeches were short. The agreement was fragile, but it was a beginning. Ilara didn't stay for the celebrations. She stood near the edge of the chamber, watching silently. Everyone in the room owed her something. Many owed her everything, but no one said it aloud. That was fine with her. Admiral Corin approached quietly. He looked older than he had a week ago. "You could have been given a seat at the next Unity Summit," he said. "They wanted to honor you." Ilara shook her head. That's not why I did it. I know, he paused. Where will you go? She looked up at the stars beyond the chamber's tall glass walls. Away, she said simply. Somewhere no one's pointing weapons at anyone. There are very few places like that, Corrin said. Then I'll find one. He offered his hand. She shook it firmly. You were the best of us, he said. Still are. She didn't respond. Words like that were nice, but they didn't undo the choices that led to the edge of war. Later that night, Ilara walked onto the small docking bay at the far end of the city. Her travel papers were already processed. No fanfare, no ceremony, just a quiet exit. A single-person vessel sat ready. It wasn't military. It wasn't fast, but it could cross stars and carry her far beyond Council space if she chose. Lieutenant Rowe met her by the ramp. He had been reassigned after the blackout, but he managed to get a brief pass to see her off. Still can't believe you shut down the biggest weapon Earth's ever built, he said, with a crooked grin. I didn't shut it down, she said. I stopped it for now. You think it'll be activated again? Someday, maybe, if fear wins. Rowe handed her a small silver pendant, a disc with Earth's old unity symbol on it. For luck, he said. She smiled faintly and took it. Thanks, Rowe. Look after yourself. You too, Commander. She turned, walked up the ramp, and boarded the vessel. Inside, she placed the pendant on the console and strapped into the pilot's seat. The engines hummed softly as she powered up. Coordinates glowed across the screen. Uncharted space, far beyond known trade routes. As the ship lifted from the pad, she looked out over Earth one last time. The planet glowed gently in the black of space, peaceful, quiet, uncertain. She spoke softly, only to herself. When power becomes fear, someone has to remind the stars how to listen. The ship turned and vanished into the darkness. She was alone, but free. And out there in the silence between worlds, maybe she could find something better.